Okay, it is 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order, and we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Sarah, would you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All members of the Board of Selectmen are here and present. Our first item of business is the approval of the meeting minutes from June 26th. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes of June 26, 2025 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any corrections? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, we are going to go now to public participation. One of two opportunities for members of the public to address the Board of Selectmen. I'll first ask if there's anybody in the room who would like to address the board, and then provide the same opportunity to anybody online. If you would like to address the board, please state your name and address and state your business. Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Nicholas McSonnet, 24 Sullivan Farm Road. Two things. First, on the agenda tonight, you have a discussion about the sale of one of the fire apparatus from Broadbrook Fire Department. Just want to bring it to the board's attention that the process by which we go into selling assets and liquidating assets to the town is through sealed bid, and that's rather antiquated for the brokerage firms that look to buy these pieces of apparatus. We probably lost $25 to $50,000 because a broker couldn't make a bid on it at the spot. I suggest the board look at this process and maybe consider revising the way they do it to have like a period, an auction or something like that, that makes the most of the assets and gets the most money for the town. Second, you're going to be having an executive discussion about the lease and the building. And what I think is appropriate is that the Broadbrook Fire Department is going to be looking to assume that lease, but I think it needs to be in writing clearly what the town will be responsible for upkeep on. So for example, if the HVAC system goes, anything large, anything over $5,000, pick a dollar amount, right? That needs to be in writing so that in perpetuity past this board, if there's an issue, we have it in writing what's covered and what's not. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Paul Anderson, excuse me, 89 Main Street. I want to reiterate the concept of an East Windsor Day. Talked to a number of people and this community day and all the other events that we've had. And it would be very good to do something like that to bring the community together. To have fall festivals, and the fall time is a good time to do things like this. And another item is listening to the videos of the meetings. The voice levels for the public are very, very poor. Very hard to understand what anybody says. I'm generally pretty loud. Even then I have problems. So that's just an observation.
Thank you, sir. Our other public comment. Other public comment. Anybody online? Nope. Hearing none, there will be another opportunity later in the meeting. We'll now turn to communications. We have two. One is a request from the Inland Wetlands Commission to consider the removal of a member who has not been in attendance in a while. Al, do you want to speak to this at all?
Yeah, it's just following procedure, and we're running low on membership. So we're just trying to actually make sure that either people are showing up or opening the space for somebody that might be interested. Yeah, that member hadn't been around for quite some time, so just kind of following the procedure I think that was set up some years ago on making available that seat for someone else.
Okay. And then the second item is just a thank you note from the Network Against Domestic Abuse, now just the network, for the financial support that the town provides for their work. We do have a resignation letter from Rick Webster, who is stepping down after many years of service on the Veterans Commission. His letter is included in the packet. May I have a motion, please?
Move to accept the resignation of Rick Webster from the Veterans Commission with regret.
Is there a second? Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Question, so he gave us his reasons in a lot of detail about why he was resigning. Is there a plan to have somebody replace his efforts with this raise? Is that in the works?
I know the Veterans Commission is aware of his resignation and they are working on backfilling that. The last time I talked to Chairman Barton, they had not yet identified that person.
They're intending to continue with the activity.
Contractors are already coming in.
Oh, Bruce is at it. Good. Any other questions or comments? I'd just say that Mr. Webster has been instrumental in making that a successful community event over the years he's been involved. And I hope that he leaves a lasting legacy that'll continue on after he's gone. All in favor of acceptance of the resignation, please say aye.
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 Opposed? We appoint members of the Capital Improvement Planning Committee annually. Their time to be reappointed is now. We have reached out to all of the existing members and asked if they would be interested in continuing on. Those who indicated that they are listed on the agenda. And I think only Jeff Alstrout opted not to be reappointed.
Does anyone mind if I take them all together?
No.
Okay, I move to reappoint Robert Leach, Tom Burnham, Denise Menard, Adam Meehan, Heather Spencer, and David Swaim as regular members of the Capital Improvement Planning Committee for terms expiring July 31st, 2026.
Is there a second?
Okay.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We do have two new appointments, both for the Economic Development Commission for regular terms expiring July 16th, 2029. The first one is a gentleman named Paul Barinda, and the second one is a gentleman named Jose Geiner, who I think is familiar to all of us. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Paul Brinda to the Economic Development Commission with the term expiring 2026,
July 16th.
29.
July
29.
16, 2029.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Mr. Geiner.
I signed it, but I'll make motion. Recommend that we appoint Jose Geiner to the Economic Development Commission as a regular member with term expiring July 16, 2029.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll turn now to discussion of old business and take up Capital Improvement Planning Committee's recommendations. We first talked about this at our last meeting and tabled that. I think Melissa included the list for you guys. Let's see, copy. Yeah, we have it. Adam, floor is yours.
All right, so we started back in the fall. This is my, I think, third trip before you. All the projects you requested of us came out to be about 5.1 million. Our initial ask after going through all the projects, ranking them, asking follow-up questions, going through our criteria was about 1.7 million. And then our final allocation given back to us after the budget passed was 1.2 million. So of the items on your list, nothing has been added since the fall. So it's all the discussions we've had before. Everything's remained the same. All we've done is reduce a couple of allocations to get from the 1.78 to the 1.238. I guess a couple off the top, just to give you a general idea. One was, oops, my computer just went blank. The East Windsor Public Schools, the Broadbrook asbestos removal and ceiling replacement. The initial request was for 250,000. We initially allocated 150,000. The final allocation has reduced that to 0. That's not to indicate that the project is not important or shouldn't be done or anything along those lines. Again, it made it through 3 cuts. Just at the end, it was reduced because there's so much going on with the public school discussion. It's a whole separate project right now, if you will. It didn't make sense to fund that until we have more information of what the future state might look like. So again, it's not to say that that project isn't worthwhile or shouldn't be funded in the future, but the timing wasn't right for us. There's also police vehicles was reduced by 1. The project request was 254 for basically 3 vehicles. The initial allocation was for all 3 vehicles, but when we had to make the cuts, we reduced that to 2. Paraphrasing high level, kind of the ask was for, the request was for 3, but the need was for 2. So we went to at least fulfill the need of 2. So that's why that was cut down. There are a couple other things that had minor cuts. I will say the replacement dock, we eliminated that one because that was funded through other means. That's already taken care of.
It's installed.
Yes, yep, I saw a picture of it. My son is working there, just to plug him for a second. So, couple other things were reduced, but no other big ticket items. Pavement management was reduced by $50,000, but the initial allocation we approved was 500,000. It's now 442,000. I mean, as you know, we need multiple millions to correctly address the roads. So I don't even think that amount is going to keep us where we need to be, from a static perspective, but we can do the best we can with the funds we have. So that's kind of high level where we're at. So you have the list in front of you. If there's questions, anything specific, I can go over them.
Anybody have any questions for Adam? Keith?
So, I know you're the messenger and these rankings are the result of a lot of work by the members. And I understand that there's a whole variety of factors that went into the rankings. But I just had a couple of questions and some observation. So there's a retail 2027 on here for the assessor's office. Wouldn't there be a question of whether or not the cost for reval is a capital item? Or whether that should come out of the regular budget? Like, how does it make it into a capital item, the cost to do the reval?
That's a very good question that we honestly struggled with quite a bit, aligning what we have as our rules and regulations, I guess, if you will. Those definitions, it didn't seem to fit. So just give you a heads up, I think in the fall, you're going to hear from the committee again. I don't want to speak because we were just renominated to the board, so we'll see when we all reconvene. But my guess is we'll come back for a little help with a couple of those that don't seem to fit the definition. So something needs to change, the definition or whether it can be included on here. So,
And as I understand it, there's some legal, financial limits on the definition because it has to do with accounting also and et cetera. So just the public isn't looking at this, but the project rank, the highest ranked project is 2,700 points and the lowest ranked project is 200 points. And they go all the way, vary from top to bottom. And some of the low ranked projects aren't even funded. So, and there's no initial allocation. So it's on the list, but there's no initial allocation from the approved budget for this, okay, which I understand. Some of the items were ranked pretty high, like the replacement dock ranked very high at 1280. And then there's parking areas, trails, Park and Rec that ranked very high, 990. And then there's court enhancements at 920. And then there's park amenities that just missed the cut for funding, but that's at 850. Okay, so then I understand that those are all needs. But then you look at the bottom 4, and it's Broadbrook Elementary School boilers, Broadbrook Elementary School hot water systems, security upgrades only got like a 250 rating, and Chromebooks only got a 200 rating. And so I'm just struggling to see how is it that elementary school boilers or water systems or security enhancements, especially security enhancements and Chromebooks for kids that need Chromebooks to learn, how could they be ranked so low in terms of like priority, 200 points, 350, whereas the replacement dock got 1280 or the parking area trails got 990? Like how do things that seem to me on the face of it to be really essential, right, and should be on the list and funded, get ranked so low? And then why do some other things that are sort of, they're nice to have, but they're not like life or death things, right? Why do they get ranked so high?
One of the criteria we use is for each department that comes before us to rank within their requests, where their order of preference.
Right?
So like at, East Windsor Public Schools Chromebook replacement, I just happen to remember that was their bottom one within East Windsor Public Schools. So that is going to bring down the number just because I don't want to say they're not declaring it important, but as important as the other 6 they had, I think.
It sounds
So
like,
that's one component of it. And another, and I think Chromebook replacement might fall into what you were saying before a few minutes ago. Is that a capital improvement?
right,
So we can take that into consideration as well. So I believe there's 6 different criteria.
right.
And when we went through them all, unfortunately for that one, it was at the bottom with just 200 weighted ranking, but
It sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, just struggling to, or it's not struggling, I just want to understand it. So each of these departments comes in with their own projects that they would like to be funded from highest to lowest, and they give a ranking. And when they all come together, I guess the money gets spread around into the different departments. And so a high ranking project from one department might rank very high because the department wants it, even though, I mean, we're comparing like, I get it, we're comparing like Park and Rec versus school stuff, but they're like equivalent in terms of the ranking system somehow. Not equivalent, but they're, you know what I'm saying? So the ones that, so Park and Rec might have a very high ranking for what they consider to be their most important capital project. And I'm looking at, I'm going like, how could that be more important than security upgrades for the elementary, for the schools? But that's because the school said that capital, which might not even be capital, right? Well, it might be. The security happened to fall less than, but what if like the school has like, I see they have like boilers and they have infrastructure stuff. They have like really important school needs, right? So yeah, some things are going to be lower, but they still might be way more important than other things. Is that something that the committee looks at, like, or struggles with in terms of like prioritizing, or?
we look at it, we struggle with it. And even you saying, this one's more important than the other, that's an opinion. So we're trying to, as best we can, look at our criteria and remove the opinions as much as we can. I can tell you like public safety, that's one of the things we look at. Is this important to public safety? So a police vehicle is going to be pretty darn high with that. So even if the police department had 20 items and they, for whatever reason, said police vehicles is our 20th ranked, it's still going to be pretty high because that's public safety. So we go through one at a time without looking at how all the others are shaping up. Okay, for this specific project, public safety, okay, where is it ranked? How is it ranked for that department's request? And we try to keep it as objective as possible, just using numbers and come out with a ranking. And as you can see with the allocations, we don't just go with number 1 gets as much as they need, number 2 and number 3. There are some blanks in there, so there's some reductions in there, and that's kind of at the end we discuss and see kind of how things lie and how we can best support all the departments. So
I personally think this is the hardest commission in terms of the work they do. I honestly do. And the people that are on here, I think, work the hardest versus any other board or commission because these are, you have very limited funds and you're trying to get the money to those projects as priorities. I know all the people that are on here. I know they're all hardworking, dedicated people. And so I think it's challenging. And so anyway, I want to say I appreciate everything that you folks are doing on this capital projects commission, commission, whatever it is. You're working really hard at it, and I think you're doing the best you can.
thank you, appreciate it.
Any other comments?
I just want to say there was some money for the first phase of the Broadbrook Elementary School boiler, the first line on the report. And the third phase was the one that they didn't fund at all. So you did give them some money to start the project, and I think that's where it should be, and I think that's where the school agreed that they would be happy with. I also just want to comment on the items that fall under Park and Recreation category. When the surveys went out, maybe 3 years ago now, 2.5 years ago, there was a whole array on the spreadsheet of different things, and the community was asked to respond what was most important for them. And Park and Rec was one of the things that people in this town wanted on a higher level playing field because they didn't think there was enough to keep the kids occupied. And I personally agree with that. And I think the Park and Rec funding that you're giving them will be utilized. And a perfect example of going outside the box to try to save the town money and it's still achieving the goals that the public wants is the new dock that's just arrived. That was funded through another source and was taken off of this list. And if anybody ever spends any time with the individuals that are involved with Park and Rec, Social Services and Human Services, they go out of their way to get as many donations and grants that they can, no matter how small, no matter how large, in order to meet those goals that were set forth during that survey. Now, if someone chose not to complete the survey, or if somebody chose that they're not happy with the outcome of the survey, we still got to use that survey as a means, in my opinion, to move forward and do what's best in the interest of the town. On the police department vehicles, I'm a little concerned that it was cut down to two, and I understand, we had constraints and all of that. But moving forward, I'm concerned we're going to lose what we gained because we were replacing them on a regular basis to keep them up. And with the fact that we're behind in receiving vehicles because of the shortage of parts and stuff that happened from COVID and the price of stuff are going up, that if we don't stay on schedule with that schedule for them, we're going to be where we were probably about a year and a half ago, where we had like 3 or 4 vehicles because of an accident. We're sitting, waiting and using cars that, in my opinion, they probably should have been dusted off and put up for auction. But so I just caution you guys going forward. That's important that we keep the vehicles on that schedule. So
Just on that particular matter.
Yeah.
I would point out that still sitting in CNR right now, the police department has almost $53,000 for cruiser replacement. So, and I've already had a conversation with Deputy Chief Murphy about that, pending the approval of the funding. Correct me if I'm wrong, Deputy, but you think you can get 3 cruisers with the 176 that's recommended plus what you have in CNR, right?
If the stars align and we get it done in time, correct. I will be very forthcoming that the F-150 is probably that called out of the barrel at this point, based on the pricing. Corporal Tudrin's done an awful lot of legwork to potentially get us 3. For disclosure, we were dropped on 1 vehicle last year, which put us in bind. We also have a brand new 2024, which recently had a mechanical issue, which we're waiting to see if it'll be covered. And if not, it might be anywhere from $5,000. So based on what we have, if we're able to make this order, then potentially get secure 3 vehicles here, which would put us in a very good spot.
Thank you.
But again, I appreciate that info and I'm glad they have the opportunity for 3. But going forward, it would still keep it under consideration because we don't want them in a bind where they were going backwards. Thank you.
That actually leads to a more general comment that one of the things that I think the Capital Improvement Planning Committee looks at is also how much is still available within CNR for project requests that are in front of it. So while there may be a project, I'll use what's a good example here? Well, I'll just pick one. So if the police department had security upgrades as a request, you'd look to see if there was already existing security upgrades money that was there, and then you mitigate their request to utilize the existing funding with the new request. Is that a fair way to put it?
Absolutely. Yep.
Other questions or comments?
And thank you for doing your due diligence and bringing it forward. Appreciate all your time and effort.
Thank you. If I could make one more comment, Jason. Thank you. I purposely leave the list formatted as it is, where we leave all the projects that were not funded or had their final allocation reduced, just so you can see, as kind of Keith was alluding to, the full list and the full order of them. So if there's any opportunity for funds in the future, or we're trying to go through and, the replacement dock was taken care of, but had it not been, we feel it's important for you to see that it was 9th or 10th on our list. So therefore, it should carry some weight as you go forward making your town decisions. So that's why, even though some of them are now blank or 0, we want to provide you the whole list so you have the whole scope of the CIP project list.
And when we adopt the capital improvement plan at the annual town meeting, part of the intention behind that is so that we have your rankings and can pull off that list as funding becomes available, whether it be through LoSiP or through some other means. So you guys do good work and it's used throughout the course of the year. It's not just put on a shelf and forgotten about. It's when the opportunity hits, we hit it.
Appreciate that.
Well, so I've taken a look at the CIP recommendations and I'd ask the board to consider allocating the funds as presented by CIP and then recommending that to the Board of Finance.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposed capital improvement planning funding request from the capital improvement planning committee as presented and move forward to town meeting for approval.
Nope, doesn't go to town meeting, just us at Board of Finance.
Okay. Strike that last sentence.
Forwarded to the Board of Finance.
No, it doesn't have to go to the Board of Finance. You said.
It does go to the Board of Finance, it does not go to town meeting.
Oh, I said town meeting. I'm sorry. To the Board of Finance.
Second.
Everybody clear? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Adam. Thank you. So you're next up, the third Wednesday in August at the Board of Finance meeting.
Okay.
Or a designee.
Okay, next up, we have a request for an alcohol exemption waiver for a 70th birthday party at the reservoir that is going to be happening on Sunday.
Make a motion that we accept the application for the exemption of alcoholic beverages for July 2025 between the hours of 1 and 7 p.m. For the event coordinator, Wendy Ferrato, I guess is how you say her last name.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Amy, you ready? So the next request is one that I'm bringing back to the board, and it is to appropriate funding for geriatric social work services. Now, I've talked about this in my budget presentation. In the last 3 years, I think, there is an absolute need for social work and social work intervention amongst a very vulnerable population that's likely to get to be more felt as the cuts to Medicaid in particular start to roll in. But I'm sensitive to the notion that it's costly and difficult to put a new position into the budget. So what I'm proposing is to do an RFQ for contracted geriatric social work services and fund that through interest that was earned on the town's American Rescue Plan Act allocation, and draw the appropriated funds down as they are used over 3 years. So what that will do is it will give us an opportunity to demonstrate with data that there is a need for this in the community, and then decision makers at that point can decide whether or not to continue funding after this pilot program is exhausted. If after the 3 years, the pilot program is not exhausted, that also tells us that the need isn't as pronounced as what we are seeing that it's going to be. Melissa can point out, without naming names, a large number of people who need intervention in different capacities on a weekly basis, if not more frequently than that. So I think this is a necessary social services step. We figured out how to do it in a way that doesn't add to our overall staffing costs or incur benefits. It's monies that came from interest accrued on ARPA, so it doesn't hit the general fund in any way. And if the need turns out not to be as profound as what we think it will be, the money remains available for some future purpose. That's what I'm asking. Any questions or? Yes, Keith.
So, there's a list here of proposed service model, individualized assessment and care planning, crisis intervention, support navigating healthcare and housing systems, advocacy and family support. And when I looked at this, and it goes on, there's about 8 items here, maybe 9. When I look at the list and I remember the presentation from senior services and social services, it sounds like almost the same thing that we were told we're doing right now. And then when I looked at the people in those two departments, I just looked at their titles. I'm excluding everyone doing transportation for the senior buses and people. But if you look at senior services and social services, there's like 5 or 6 full-time people doing this work. So I'm not
There's
opposed
not.
if you just look at their titles.
They're not, first of all, they're not full-time and they're not full-time doing it.
Well, okay, so, and I'm not saying the state does some of this. We have a Department of Social Services, we have Federal Social Security Administration does some of this, but before we spend $200,000 of ARPA money to do a pilot project to see if we have a need, I would have liked to see some data to say we have a need. Like, we have 10 people that come in on the annual basis. How many people are we currently serving for these needs? And how many people are we not servicing that come in for these needs? And like get some data so we could say, yeah, is it worth a $200,000 investment? I mean, this is like a teacher and benefits or a teacher and a para and benefits, or it's like, I mean, I'm not sure if I agree with the concept. Let's spend $200,000 and find out if we have a need without having any data to begin with to say we have a need.
But in order to get to that data, we're not going to spend that money if the data doesn't support the need for it. That's how this whole thing is set up. We're not writing a check for $200,000 to some social work practice. We're saying that we're going to RFQ somebody to perform this function on an hourly basis. They're going to submit their invoices and we're going to pay them for the hours that they worked, if they work it. If they are working it, that affirms that the need is as we say it. If they don't work it, then that also affirms that the need isn't there. This is proof of concept.
But I thought we were told, we have people in the Department of Social Services and Senior Services that if you come in and you have a problem paying your bills or getting groceries or have healthcare issues or medical issues, they will set you up they will make a connection for you. They will help you through the process. We were told we have employees that do this work. And so, yeah, Jason, I'm not saying I don't want to make sure that our community isn't serving people, but hiring an outside agency to do work where we may be very well doing it. I don't want to see us like ship out work to an agency on this thing and say, oh yeah, now we have the need. And then our employees are doing something else when that's what they're employed to do. Social services does this work.
So there are 2 employees that are doing case management in social services.
Okay.
They do things like senior farmers market nutrition program enrollment. They do things like the backpack back to school program or renters rebate or energy assistance. They're not doing fraud or elder abuse circumstances where somebody is being scammed for money. They're not intervening in hoarding circumstances until they get to the point of eviction or ejection. They're not intervening in, help me out, Melissa. What are a couple of the other areas that I'm missing here?
Sure. So our numbers of elderly protective service referrals in the last 2 years have tripled. We went to maybe referring 2 to 3 people a year to possibly 15 at this point.
Okay, so, and so on that issue, I didn't cut you off, but 15 people a year have a complaint that somebody says some family member is taking their money or their family member is hitting them or something's happening with them. So that's 15 a year. So that's less than 2 a month. An employee should be able to handle that, right? I mean, that's what we're doing. So we have an employee to do that.
Senior center program lead works 25 hours a week.
Okay,
To stay on hold with 211, any social services department, who's now closed on Wednesdays. Those hours, it just doesn't add up. The number and the need and the demand I have people coming in that have no family, no friends
Right.
to help them downsize their homes. We don't have a clinical licensed social worker on staff, so we can't help with counseling. We can't help with any of those services. We have first responders that go to their homes and the medics are picking them up off the floor and then calling us and saying, what are you gonna do about it?
So again, I think that we have, between senior services budget and social services budget, I don't know if we're at, I mean, I'm just not gonna throw a number off my head, say it's $400,000 or $300,000 or $500,000, but we have full-time employees whose job is to support seniors and social services, to connect people up with services. And I would expect that if somebody comes in and says, I need to be in the renter's rebate program, they're gonna sit down and pull out the form and help them. Or if they say, I'm struggling with food, then they're gonna say, we're gonna point you. So I'm just saying,
We have several programs that are now being disbanded because their people above us are making decisions for the local people that have zero control.
what's been disbanded?
Staff benefits are going away, Medicare and Medicaid benefits are going away.
So,
We have immigration issues now in town that I'm now dealing with.
and I'm not supportive of eliminating SNAP or any of the immigration stuff or any of the social services stuff that you said, but our state government has said that they're going to step in and fund these things. And so so we're not at a point yet where we know that SNAP for our residents is going to be cut. That could be soon, or it could be 6 months. But should we wait until we determine the state isn't going to cover SNAP, or the state's not going to cover Medicare? Because our state legislators are telling us they're going to cover those things and they're going to make up the shortfall. So
The things that this person or agency would help us with are much broader and bigger problems than just your SNAP and your Medicare benefits. It's literally trying to figure out where you're gonna spend the rest of your life.
what do you mean?
To sell their home. They need to go into senior and disabled housing. And they don't have family and friends to help them with that. They have substance abuse issues that they need assistance with. The lines at CHR are out the door.
So, okay.
Is there anybody
So-
else going?
Can I say something?
Yeah, I think Marie had.
I didn't know anyone, somebody didn't say they wanted to go. Yeah,
She's been raising her hand for a while and I just wait until she's done raising her hand so I can raise my hand.
I was just having a conversation about it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interfere with
Go ahead.
your.
The
Nothing
floor
to
is yours.
apologize for. Just real quick, and no disrespect to you, but I just want to make it clear because ARPA has been a point of contention. It's not ARPA funding we're using, it's the interest from the ARPA fund that's being proposed to use. So just for clarification on that. I personally have been watching different graphs that the police department has put out and presented in different things that the fire departments have put out. We have a real demand in this community for mental health care.
Yep.
And I'm going to use an example, and I don't know who the person, but I'm going to tell you that it was a bone of contention with everybody. And Melissa spent hours and her staff days trying to get this individual help, to the point where it went to a senator was notified that nobody was doing anything for this individual. This has been individual needed mental health care that CHR, I don't care how good they are or they aren't, CHR only has one person that handles geriatric patients. And trust me when I tell you, geriatric patients are completely different than somebody like me. They have whole separate stuff. And to expect our social services people to do all of the stuff that they do and then add that aspect that they're not qualified, in my opinion, without the degrees. We need a social person that's available. I'm hoping that this person, if it goes through, is available on not a set hour schedule, but on an as-need basis, so that when you have somebody that's showing up on the park bench and has no family and has no place to go, in their mind, regardless of whether I agree or disagree with it, they need somebody to come out to guide that person in the right direction. Because I can't do it, no matter how good I might think I am at persuading people. You need somebody, and I think the phase in is only going to be good as the need. If you look at the graphs from the police department during budget presentations, they've got it down to individuals in the month in which people are triggered and for what reason. So this way they're prepared ahead of time. The canine dog, Lucky, I think the dog's name is, I'm not an animal lover.
Lady, she's a station dog. She's not a canine.
The station dog. that person brought in just for that reason, to help in that aspect. And I just think this is the final step in doing what we need to do. We are an aging population. If you look at the expenses for East Windsor and you look at the lack of growth in this community, our population is aging and is going to continue to age. So I would like this to go forward in the capacity in which it's presented here. We may find out that there's $200,000 in interest put aside and one person uses it in 3 months. And it costs you $150. It's well worth that $150 if we save somebody's life or save them from doing harm to somebody else.
And we still have that funding available.
And the funding is, right, and the funding is available after that.
Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's okay. No, it's fine. So I know this has come before us many different times in many different ways, and I've never really been in favor of how it would be funded. I am a little concerned now also because I don't believe in funding any sort of position that's not budgeted, because if there is a real need and we do go through all this money and people are relying on these services, and then what do we do when we can't fund it in the future? That's a big concern of mine. I don't deny that there's a need. I think it does need to be addressed. I'm just concerned about the future when we need additional funds and we don't have them. How do you tell people, sorry, we can't offer this to you anymore?
So a couple of points. First of all, this is not a new position. It's a contracted service.
Right, but we're still providing a service that we haven't before and we might not be able to continue.
But you also just said that you know that there is a need.
Mm-hmm.
And even if we can demonstrate that we have overwhelming need for this and we go through the money in less than 3 years, at least we've provided that intervention in that intervening time.
Mm-hmm.
When we know there is a need. I mean, you just said so yourself. So
Yeah.
I don't understand what the downside of that is. Right now, we're not meeting that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the way I interpreted this was, it was a position or a function that we needed that was a specific licensure, expertise, and education that we don't currently have in-house for a vulnerable population that is different. And it's a mental health position. That's how I interpreted it, right? So, and as you know, I was with Sarah previously on not creating a budget hole, right? And not just like, starting it up and then not having the money for next year or whatever. But I think this idea works great because it gives us the ability to not commit to it long-term, find out exactly what it is we need. Do we need professional services? Do we need a part-timer? Do we need a full-timer? What's the need out there? And then what's the skill set? Because we may find that this social worker is maybe not quite right, or maybe it's exactly what we need. I think it's a great way to find out, and we'll have the data, maybe after 1 year, but certainly by the time the 3 years is up, we certainly have, I think, a good track record of what it is that we exactly need. If we do, as a town, choose to now put it in the budget and go forward and commit to it. So I think this is a great path. I think this is a great way to do it. And I think this is something that is important and we don't have right now.
Okay.
Sorry. No, I said my piece.
Anyone else? May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal for contracted geriatric social worker services as presented on the memorandum dated July 15, 2025.
And we need to forward that to the Board of Finance.
And forward it to the Board of Finance,
And that goes to town meeting too.
who will then forward it to the town meeting.
May I have a second?
We're just starting the process again. Right. Second.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 3-1. Thank you all very much.
And the other thing that I failed to mention, having spent many years up at Park Hill and getting to know a lot of the people up there, it's not only our elderly population, it's our disabled population also that have issues. So I just wanted to clarify that. I didn't intentionally leave them out, but conversation was talking about elderly, but they also are in need. So I think if you get willing to put it forward, even with your reservations, I think it's very much necessary. Thank you.
Mr. Norton, good evening. How are you? Welcome back.
They handout. Oh, you got that. That's very good.
Probably not. Sorry.
Doesn't matter. I'll. First thing that you're gonna wanna look at is the request for proposal. Yep. There you go.
So this is a familiar name.
This already happened.
Yeah. He's gonna talk about this.
Okay, as you know, we're preparing to do a water main extension in Broadbrook, go up to the School Hill development and up at the Park Hill. We're currently working out some wording on the bid documents and the contract documents. However, it was highly recommended, this is federal and state money. It was highly recommended that we basically hire a clerk of the works to do the inspections, do all the federal paperwork, the payrolls and all that good stuff. So Connecticut Water Company was not they prepared the plans. We couldn't just have Connecticut Water Company because of the money involved. Connecticut Water Company couldn't just hire their normal people that do their inspections and do this work. So we had to put it out to bid, or we put it out for an RFP. And that's your first document that you see there. That's exactly what we put on the DAS and the town website. The single sheet that you have. By the way, we got one response, and that's what you have there. The sheet with the colors. That's what they're anticipating. They're giving us estimates as to what they figure for time throughout the construction, and they have a total of $103,000, 65 days of construction. So I have had conversations with these people. They seem very competent. I have sent copies of the proposal that you received tonight to the town attorney, Connecticut Water Company, the boss, for review, and the feds actually in the state. And I haven't quite got all the answers back yet, but we wanna hire this particular company. It's not an individual, it's actually a company. So they can actually be in on the ground level. That's what's recommended. Get them in now as we're putting it out to bid. They could maybe give us a little insight as to where we might want to do something a little different. These people, this is one of the big things they do is inspect water mains. They've got a ton of experience, as you can see in there. And the third item that I passed out was the actual owner engineer agreement that we'd like to get signed so that we can bring these people on board.
Just for people's edification, the respondent bidder was H2M, the same ones who did the fire department stuff.
So
That's where we are. We're hoping to get the water, we keep getting comments trickling in from DECD, the state. We're hoping we've just addressed the last few, but we were hoping we addressed the last few a month ago. So we'll see where we are, but, the people designated by this firm to manage our project, may be able to, enlighten us on some items that are in the documents.
Questions or comments? Marie?
Yeah, H2M, are they, certified to do the grant stuff that the state's required? Are they on their list?
Well, I've sent everything to the state for this.
Oh, I think are you asking, are they on the state bid list?
Yeah,
So,
and if they're not on the state bid list, are they astute enough to be able to do the paperwork that's required?
so first of all, we've done the open competitive bid process. So whether they are or not
It's
on the
what we
state,
got.
on the pre-approved state
Right.
bid list doesn't
Okay.
affect the outcome. They are qualified. Most importantly, they're qualified through Connecticut Water to actually perform the very technical inspections that the water company is required to demonstrate through their regulatory process.
You may remember the $147,000 item on the Abbey Road water main that nobody was anticipating. This should take care of that.
Incidentally, on that, we got $93,000 back.
Okay, yeah, I remember it.
Len, this bid, specs were posted on the town website,
The town website and the DAS website.
and you just got the one,
Surprisingly, I was very surprised.
right? Just want to make a comment about the state bid list. Personally, I think that, and that doesn't necessarily apply here, but we talked about a second ago. I think that the state bid list qualifies people to do bids, but I think we always need to bid regardless of whether they're on the state bid list. That doesn't mean they're giving us their best price just because they're on the state bid list. We need to still make sure we're looking at competitive bidding, always. But I was, yeah, I'm a little surprised this is just the one bid.
Disappointing.
Right?
But they were a very highly qualified and recommended firm, so.
I'm really happy we're doing a clerk of the works. I think that's so important. I think I was just doing a look at the permanent building commission because I want to see if they were, this is not, it doesn't seem to be under their purview because they're mostly buildings or related to building construction. And because if it was, I was going to say they should be involved in the appointment of clerk of the works, but you're properly not including them because they're not involved in this. But having a clerk of the works, professional clerk of the works is really going to make sure that the money is spent properly. So.
Other questions or comments? Then I would ask for a motion to accept the bid and authorize my signature on the agreement.
Make a motion to accept the bid by H2M fee proposal in a total of $103,000. And authorize the first selectman to sign the owner engineer agreement between but for the town's water main extension project to serve Park Hill, Old Ellington Road, Helena Drive, Lane Drive, and Windsorville Road.
For a second.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, sir. Just to be considerate of Amy's time, can we take up agenda item 9F, discuss and vote on the Canute Fire Department's bid on the 2002 HME fire truck?
Make a motion, we take 9F out of order.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is another one. I know I gotta go dig into my pack. Okay. Tyler. Okay, so, this is the thing that, Mr. Mixada spoke about earlier. We had put this out to bid. They had actually rebid it, and I think it's the same respondent both times, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. And the bid amount is for $50,000. So this is town property, so we need to accept the bid. And then I think, we also will ask the Board of Finance to place, where are we putting the payment money?
Want to go on the CIP.
Into the fire truck line?
In the yeah.
Yeah.
Vehicle line.
Okay.
That's my assumption.
Yes.
Right.
Maybe you guys have to authorize that, because I think your policy says town vehicles.
Yeah.
So somebody you guys have to authorize to give it to Broderick Fire to their vehicle line. Which I think is the appropriate place for it.
Make a motion to accept the Canute Fire Department bid for the Broadbrook 2,000-gallon tank fire truck for in the amount of $50,000, and to put that money in the Broadbrook Fire Department vehicle line.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
I had a question.
Go ahead.
To the fire department, is this a reasonable price? I mean, is this a fair price? Because we don't have to accept the bid. I just want to know. We don't have to accept any bids. I just want to know if it's a fair price.
Well, the bid had gone out 3 times already for this vehicle.
Right.
And this is the one that we got, one that we accepted.
Okay.
The only one we got.
I get that. I just want to make sure it's a fair price. I mean, if it's,
The market demands, I mean, how much fair can you get? If you go out 3 times and you only get one bid and that's all you get, then that's the market price.
the reason I asked was because you said earlier, Nick, that the limitation here was that the goes out to bid rather than auction. And you said that people lost out because they didn't auction it. So I just want to make sure it's a fair price. That's all, by bidding.
It's the only price based on the way the bid structure is set up.
And in about a week, you guys aren't gonna have any place to park it anyway.
Correct. Right. And just to be clear, the motion that was made and said vehicle line, I do believe it needs to be clear that it's the vehicle CIP line, because we do have a maintenance line for vehicles as well.
Yeah, it's CNR fire trucks is the line.
Do you want me to amend my motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moved.
Amend the second.
Question, are they gonna pick this up?
Yes.
Oh, so there's no additional expense to us for transfer of the property?
Strip all the chrome off it.
And who signs off on documents for registration and all that purposes at the first selectmen? Okay, and we have those available, or do you have those?
No,
available?
it may be Jerry.
Yeah, I think that the title is in the town's name.
The titles all should be in the town.
We've done this before. We've done this before and we've worked it out. As long as I have authorization to sign it, then we're
Okay,
covered.
all right, I just
Yes,
wasn't
to
sure.
answer your question, yes, they are coming together.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's gonna be a haul.
Yes.
That's what they're paying.
In honor of that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Now, Amy, I think I'm done with you. Okay, we'll turn now to agenda item 9D. Discussion of the interlocal agreement between the town of East Windsor and the town of Windsor pertaining to the emergency radio system. A copy of that was included in your package. Deputy Chief Murphy is here if you have questions. You'll recall that we have secured the necessary funding to protect the incentives on that program. The state bond fund requires that this be a regional emergency radio system. We have had a great dialogue with Windsor throughout this process. They've approved this MOU. And then the last step is for us to do the same. Questions or comments?
A question for the chief. Chief, are the ratios in here, the proportional ratios for the future maintenance fees? I don't know.
This document, sir.
That's subject to negotiation then after.
But I want to
I think that's what the chief,
correct me if I'm out of turn. I believe it was 5347, sir.
That is correct.
if I remember, that was the chief's response. And I could say it because we're talking about this in public, but I think the chief's response previously was that the agreement allows for the negotiation on those ratios to establish them. And that was in fact, it said that in the prior agreement that we authorized last time, it said that those ratios would be subject to negotiation between the parties.
Isn't that covered in 3.3? Any cost overruns beyond the grant allocation should be negotiated in a portion based on the location, benefit, and ownership of the impacted components. And then I think it's outlined in 4.1.1.
So 4.1 says it's going to be allocated on a weighted system. The allocation will be based on a weighted system. And they have the basis for that here, but there's no number in here. But you're saying that you thought it was what?
I believe that it was 5347.
53, I was 47 then. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I was just curious about the term, and you said these guys already agreed to this, but the term may be extended beyond the initial period upon mutual written agreement of all the parties, provided such extension is executed prior to the expiration of the then current term, which is 10 years. What happens in 10 years when everybody forgets that they were supposed to re-sign this document? Like,
Well, I'll tell you that the absolute hope is that in half that time, the state takes over the maintenance costs of the whole system.
right, yeah, I understand that, but it's just, I mean, is it just like you're the lawyers, it all kind of just stay the way it is? Or are you just totally out of contract and anybody can do what they want, or?
No, it's kind of like a month-to-month lease, goes until the parties terminate it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's it.
Other questions or comments? Then ask for a motion to authorize my signature on the interlocal agreement between the towns of East Windsor and Windsor.
Make that motion, what he said.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Deputy Chief. You want to talk about, I think you have some news.
So, we have elected to onboard a second canine to our police department, and canine lady is not that second. We have elected to appoint Officer Haitian, the next canine officer. And we were fortunate enough to secure complete funding for the animal, for the training, and all equipment through Hometown Federation. So what we're looking for, Officer Haitian went through a process. He bid for the opportunity. Per collective bargaining standards, he was actually one of the only people eligible who put in for it as well. Some of the younger officers were not. We see this as an absolute huge resource, not only for us, but for the town. This is going to be a cross-trained dog. We're looking probably for a German Shepherd, potentially a Mel, but likely going to be a Shepherd, which is going to be cross-born for narcotics and tracking. Our dog already, Canine Milo, is almost 7 years old, very busy in town. He's a star wherever he goes, much different than obviously Canine Lady. This is not asked for any money from the board. This is within our budget, so we're not asking for an up on this. We're going to manage our own finances on that. And actually, if you look at our contract, we've had 2 dogs in the past. It's already left it open to that. So we're all pretty excited. Our dogs will be running opposing shifts. So the operations commander, I'm going to be working with when I put them and where they put them. So we're going to have multiple coverage throughout the town. With that said, to begin the training, which starts August 25th, we're looking to have the town basically sign a hold harmless indemnification agreement you see in front of you. It's pretty standard nomenclature. Officer Haitian is going to be trained through a group through the East Hartford Police Department. I can tell you, particularly from working in the city of New Britain for the years, I've dealt with many dogs getting trained, both shepherds and bloodhounds. The canine group doing this is probably top notch in the state, if not New England, as far as my opinion. So they're going to be getting some of the best training. It's local, it's 12 weeks. Again, it's paid for already by Hometown. Basically, all we need is just authorization for a signature, standard nomenclature that, if something happens, East Hartford PD is not responsible for obviously any injury to our officer and our dog.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the deputy chief?
Chief, could I just suggest that we go to our insurance carrier and make sure they're going to insure with this indemnification? I'm sure they will, but we don't want our insurance carrier to say, we shouldn't have signed indemnification because East Hartford needs to be responsible for this. That's what I'm saying. Maybe somebody should check with our folks to make sure that they're gonna make sure we have coverage for something that happens down in East Hartford.
We'll defer to the Board of Selectmen opinion on that. I was kind of out of my wheelhouse. I'm assuming based on the past trainings that we've done for my previous agency and this one, this is general standard. So I don't know if that's something Kerma would entertain or need. Again, I would defer to you. I don't want to speak out of turn. But if that's the decision of the board, essentially all the same. This would be the same though, I would assume, as if when I would run a 19-person SWAT training twice a week in the city. I would go to a building and the building owner would have me sign this, and our city attorneys never had a problem with that. But again, I don't want to speak out of turn, so I'll bounce that back.
On the same line as Keith, I was just questioning, this says it's East Hartford, East Hartford, East Hartford, and to be signed by the mayor of East Hartford. Should this form be corrected to say East Windsor and signed, or is East Hartford going to take the responsibility for the training? Because if East Hartford wants to take the responsibility, we'll give it to them.
No, that's the spot for my signature. Connor Martins goes there.
Not what it says. Demonstration made on this day by between the town of East Hartford.
I believe.
Through East Hartford.
I'm not uncomfortable with the indemnification at all. I'm gonna vote for it. I'm not saying this is standard, and I get it. But I think, just for our own, we should just, whoever interacts with our risk management for our town, maybe probably Jason, I would suggest just contact Kerma and say, is this indemnification gonna get us in trouble? That's all. That's all.
Completely agree. Do whatever you gotta say to the program. This is something that we need to get done to get him into the class.
So as we've done in the past, what I'd ask is authorization to sign that pending approval from Kerma. Kerma takes like 3 weeks to review this stuff. So it's getting close for when you guys need it, and I don't want to have to come back here and get another signature and miss your waiting window.
Yeah, you Justin Stanko, yeah, all right.
Colleen White.
Like, there's no motion pending, right?
No.
I'll make a motion that we authorize first selectman to sign the East Hartford Police Department Academy indemnification agreement, subject to review by Kerma.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Deputy. Okay, our next item, I'm going to ask that we table until after executive session.
Move we table a 9G until after executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Move on to tax refunds.
Move to approve the tax refunds totaling $5,371.84.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. All right, selectmen's reports. It's bigger. Okay, a couple of things I want to share with the group. First of all, this Saturday, from 8 to 1 at the DPW garage is the town's every so often household hazardous waste collection. This is not something that we do annually. So this is something that is an opportunity to get rid of those paint cans or pesticides or things that have been aggregating in the garage or in the basement that you really can't dispose of otherwise. So take advantage of that. The police department, under Deputy Chief Murphy's leadership, is going to be hosting the youth leadership program again this year. This is the second year in a row that East Windsor has hosted that. That program will run from July 28th through the 31st. It'll be held at the community center and is available to anybody ages 15 to 18. They cover breakfast and lunch. They cover subject matter, including leadership, teamwork, law enforcement, criminal justice, and discipline. They have an opportunity to actually go down and tour the FBI headquarters in New Haven. And if there's anybody interested in enrollment, Deputy Chief Murphy is the guy to talk to. I'm sorry, did you want to add something?
I was gonna say, I respect the bent the rules to allow some 14-year-olds. That was based on their level of schooling they were going into and some of their levels of maturity. So if there's a more mature, because there are kids who are out seniors, I just don't want to mix freshmen and seniors. But I do have a couple 14-year-olds going into their sophomore years.
Excellent. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. Thank you for putting that together. East Windsor Senior Services has a program survey that's out that'll help them advise how they build out their programming over the next period of time. That's on their town website, or you can stop by the community center and pick it up, or you can call Senior Services and ask for one to be mailed to you. But we're really interested in gathering some public feedback. Also at the community center, the fitness center is now open to those 55 and older. We do have some policies and procedures in place that are available in the handbook that's available down there. So check that out. We do require that people sign off and have their physician sign off on their ability to use the equipment. And we have a suggested donation for membership, but nobody will be turned away. We've reconstituted the Elderly Commission. They are meeting during the day now. Their next meeting is August 5th at 10:30 at the in-program room of the community center. And they're looking to encourage and support community programs and services that affect the welfare of seniors in the community. We've also put together a nice trip to the Norman Rockwell Museum on August 7th. That's a spaces limited event, but it's an opportunity to see Rockwell's works, including more than 320 Saturday Evening Post cover paintings. I love Rockwell. You know, I just think that's going to be such a cool trip. If I had time and I wasn't bumping somebody from that, I would join that trip. So space is limited, so to reach out to Parks and Rec if you're interested. Every year, the social services team administers the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, which is a food assistance program for low-income seniors. It works on a debit card model now. It used to be a coupon voucher book, but they switched over to a debit card model now, and they load up $40 worth of funding to be used at qualified farmers markets around the state. If you take your farmers market nutrition program card to Ellington actually offers double points on the card, so you can stretch that value out twice as far. There are income eligibilities associated with that. For more information, contact social services. We are already working on the school's back to school backpack program, which provides eligible East Windsor families that are registered with the school system with a new backpack filled with essential items that they'll need throughout the course of the year, including a gift card for sneakers and assorted school supplies in a backpack. So that's another social services program. It's also income qualifying, and it's a partnership with the school system. And then the Lions Club is hosting a charity golf tournament on Saturday, September 6th at Twin Hills Country Club in Coventry, if anybody is interested. That's an 8 o'clock shotgun start. And any information or to register, you can contact Derek Lucier with the East Windsor Lions Club. Maureen.
Yeah, just to continue on some of the things that are happening at Park and Rec that Jason excluded. Want to make sure people are aware that there is a Facebook page for Park and Rec and Senior Services, and that they post activities on a daily basis. So if you're not privy to those, they're also on Instagram. And join them. The Summer Fun Camp in conjunction with the Board of Education in the school system, they received a $280,000 grant. There's 70 students that are participating in that program. They do half-day academics at the school, and they do the other half at Park and Rec. So thankful for that program for a second year and the utilization for that. There's been some comments posted in regards to the strange order that took place last week regarding the smell. It turned out that it was a pump that wasn't acting properly. They have temporarily fixed that, and they're going to get a replacement for that soon. In the meantime, they'll be dumping that on a regular basis once a week, I believe is what I heard. They also installed 2 more bubblers within the pond, in the reservoir, to help keep that water moving. Hopefully we won't get the bacteria and that kind of stuff build up. Then you heard about the new dock from after 100 years, exaggerated. There's money set aside for Pierce Park and Park Hills Park for the playground equipment and.
Prospect Hills Park.
Prospect Hill Park, thank you. And yes, there will be a plastic merry-go-round, because that seems to be a concern, because one was taken down due to, rust and concerns about safety. And let's see what else. Yeah, I think that's, in the athletic, department are donating, $8,000 for picnic tables up at the park. So that's forthcoming, which will help out a lot. So that'll be good. And that's all I got.
All right. Sarah?
Nothing to report this evening.
Katie?
Well said, thank you.
Al?
Wetlands had a public hearing to evaluate application for 68 Newberry Road, which is currently a mulch yard, and it's going to be a light industrial building, and they passed that. And they have another one coming up for the 300 or so apartments and retail space on Bridge Street, which may get postponed to later August or maybe the September meeting. That's all.
I think Ruth was trying to schedule a special meeting for that. Yeah. That's all.
Yep, that's it.
All right. We will turn now to public participation, a second opportunity for members of the public to address the board. Same rules as before. I'll ask if you just identify yourself by name and address. Yes, sir.
I'm coming up here because of the crummy audio system so people can hear me online. Okay? It's terrible. I always look forward to coming here to the meetings, and you always have something interesting to say. And most of the time, I agree with it, but you're making a big, huge mistake. This $200,000 to advocate for somebody, wrong. And I have no say in it. You get $200,000 because you have interest on something. That's my money. I don't like it spent that way. We don't need that lady to come in here, or gentleman, whoever it is. Number one, all these items are state cared too. All of them. How do I know this? Because I've used them. All of them. People in my family have used them. We don't go to the town and ask for this. We take care of our elderly. If we need help, we seek help. The state provides it. You're taking this money and just wasting it. The person you're going to have can't continue and contribute to all these different facets. It's impossible. We're hiring people right now to do these jobs. If they have too much, then you better back off and look at something else, because if they got too much to do, then you're giving them too much. If this is that much of a priority, that's what they should be doing. This $200,000, it's not a gift. It's my money. I pay a lot of taxes and I want something better done with it. That's how I feel. Ambulance, police department, fire department, they all need something. Every one of them. I took a lot of time at the police department. You know what they have for protection if they get into a conflict? One shield. Who's going to get it? What do? Draw numbers? One shield. For $1,200, you can buy a number of them. That's the price. You're making a big mistake, and I'm really disappointed in what you did. We have people to take care of that, and you're just wasting my money. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comments? Hearing none, we'll go into executive session. It will include, get the name right. It will include Attorney Laura Cardillo, Helen Tots, the town assessor, Attorney Matt Willis, also the assessor. That's it.
Move that we go into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? We are in executive session at 8:20 PM.
Yeah, because after we conclude, now I'm officially on vacation.
I think
Where that's,
okay, we're out of executive session.
so if that stuff that's up there, the narrative, is that gonna show up on the videotape? Because that's all executive session stuff.
I'll review it before I put it up. But muting. So did you unmute that?
No.
Okay. So it's 10:25. We're out of executive session. We're going to return now to the call of the agenda. Item number
9G.
9G. Thank you. I think there's a couple of, well, I think we should add what we're discussing.
Okay.
The settlement proposal for LLC partnership and Southern Auto Sales.
Yeah, we need to add. Actually, we're gonna take no action on 9G, but I would like to add agenda item 9H, which would be a discussion of,
Tax returns.
I'm sorry, 9I. I misspoke.
It's okay.
Oh, you have my agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like to add as agenda item 9I, a discussion of the following properties for tax sale or tax appeal purposes. 164 South Main Street, 186 South Main Street, 5 Stoughton Road, and the property known as South Main Street as referenced in the attorney's memo from attorney Laura Cardillo. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll now take up agenda item 9I. Sarah,
I move to approve the settlement as presented for the following properties: 164 South Main, 186 South Main, 5 Stoughton, and 5 South Main as referenced on page 4 of the attorney's settlement memo.
is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. With no further business to come before the Board of Selectmen, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn at 10:27 PM.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Opposed? We're adjourned at 10:27.